what I have been learning is life really is about the story that you tell yourself.
Mm,
You can tell yourself a detrimental story over and over and over and live it out and believe it. And then you will wake up one day and realize this is the climax of that story, or this is the rising action of that story. And I think I've just noticed that everything is telling me a story. I mean, from the bumper stickers on people's cars to the way that they drive to what they are wearing that day, to the way that they present themselves. They are telling you their story in the way that they speak about themselves and the way they speak about others. Everything that you consume has story to it, whether you think it's just, a news update or a highlight reel or a piece of music. I mean, everything has story to it, and everyone who created it or everyone who participated in it has a story or is telling a story or is part of a story. And I think the biggest thing for me has just been, what story am I telling myself about who I am and what I'm doing in life and why I'm doing it and how competent I feel about it and how confident I am that I'm supposed to be doing it. And I mean, I can just go on and on and on here, but I've started to just say to myself, okay, the story of my life is, and then actually fill in the blanks with the things that maybe are not currently the way that I want them to be. And that's from a perspective of professionally, personally, spiritually. I mean,
mhm.
you have to tell yourself, listen, I'm not where I want to be in this area of my life. But it's not because I cannot get there, and it's not because I'll never get there, and it's not because and this is not affirmations, and I'm not talking about speaking things into existence here, and I'm not talking about I want to be an NBA player, so I'm going to tell myself
Mhm.
the story every day. Because guess what? I fell into that trap when I was a kid. I told myself the story that I was going to be, star high school basketball player. Never happened because I was believing the wrong story and I was telling the wrong story. And I think it's good as we get older to start recognizing quickly what the right story is and what the wrong story is and what's a possible story and what's a not a possible story. That's just what I've been observing, and I've been observing the stories people are telling themselves.
Mhm.
And sometimes it makes me hurt a little. It's like, oh
Yes.
man, there's a story that you could tell yourself here and you could tell others that it's wonderful. And instead you're choosing this one. And I wish that I had like the omniscient power to just step in and save them from themselves, which I can't. I'm not. I am a mere mortal. I bleed when they cut me. So it's not my role. But whenever I get the chance to help someone with their story or to talk to someone about their story, then it makes me excited because I can encourage them. I mean, that's what I was put on earth to do, was to encourage people. And like, I have started telling myself that story. Okay, what are you going to do today that's going to encourage someone?
Mhm.
And who are you drawing that encouragement from? And what are you doing to fill that tank up? And how is that story going to live out when you interact with people?
That's so cool. I love what you said about how everything that everyone does is telling the story of who they are. And you mentioned bumper stickers, and that's something that I really love, is being behind people and seeing their bumper stickers, because you have to think. I always like to think through that person finding that, whether online or in person, purchasing it, exchanging physical money for it, or swiping their card, and then up like going tearing it up and applying it. And with certain ones, you're like, man, that was a lot of action steps that you took to say that. So I love thinking through that, because you really get into their headspace of like, man, I love just observing that about people and thinking, man, like they put that on there, or did they get it from a friend? Like there was one guy he had Florida license plates, Pittsburgh Steelers bumper sticker, with a like death to heroin sticker. And I was like, and we were in the car, and I was like, okay, so what is he from Pittsburgh? Did someone in his family do heroin, or is he a recovering heroin addict? Like, and just going through, but like thinking through him, like at each step, purchasing one of those items is just so fascinating to me.
And have you ever driven past someone after seeing their bumper stickers and they rarely ever do not match the bumper stickers,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Like whatever you see as the bumper sticker or the decal, when you get to next to them, you're like, oh yeah, that, like, there is a person that is always on my way home from work from me, and they have this Jeep life with these glasses and this lip and this messy top knot bun. And whenever I pass her, I'm like, I knew that. I forgot that's what she looked like, but I remember now. She just looks like that, you know. And it never fails. They match the bumper sticker that
Yep.
they have on the back of their car because that's the story that they've chosen to tell about
About
themselves, and they are
themselves.
living it out. And so I want to challenge ourselves, you and me, and our
Hmm.
listeners, to really evaluate the story that you're telling yourself. Are you telling yourself a story of defeat and of loss and of incapability of overcoming these things? Or are you telling yourself a story of achieving victory through the power of the Holy Spirit? A story of just one foot in front of the other. Like, today's a new day. We're going to make another step forward. And it's not a cure all. There are lots of other things that go into making your story better. And I don't want to diminish any of that by saying like this is the way to do it. But like, start here. And as you start telling yourself this story, then your story will start to improve, and you'll start to see what those steps are. You'll start to recognize like, oh, I need to take this next step. I need to do this next thing. I need to go talk to this next person, read this next book, memorize this next verse, take
Hmm.
this next medicine, whatever it is that needs to help you in your story. You will start, the Lord will start to bring it clearer and clearer as you start to tell yourself, I am the Lord's and he wants his best for me. And right now, this is it. And it's going to get better if I continue following him.
That's awesome.